Buff Nation, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. We got some great news. Sort of. I mean, of course, we just secured two commitments. We did lose one, so we'll get to that immediately. Carter Miller, who was transferring over here, I believe it was from Louisiana Monroe, played center as well as guard. Decommitted today. Seems like that has a lot to do with Phil Loadholt moving on after his commitment to Mississippi State. And so that also makes sense of why we brought in like four offensive linemen in this recruiting weekend, four guys to visit and hopefully commit. And we're off to a wonderful start on the offensive line and, shoring up the linebacker room. So let's get to the first one I have on here. Zarian McGill, a guy that one thing I really like about him is that he's a bigger center than like what we've had, which is great. 6'2", 308 pounds, and he has started like a ton of football. He's played a ton of football. So you love to see that. See here, played 492 snaps on the year. At Louisiana Monroe, he played 700 snaps. So, yeah, was kind of like part-time center throughout most of this year. Kind of interesting. And then started at the middle of the season, seemed to rotate quite a bit. But then when you look at his snaps as well at Louisiana Tech, he was a starter there and a starter his freshman year as well. And I think a guy that's going to come in here and compete for that starting position with Cash Cleveland. Which is awesome. 6'2", again, 308 pounds. Graded out really well in the pass blocking, so that's great. And I think would be one of our highest graded guys right now on the roster when it comes to run blocking, 63.3. Of course, coming up a level, let's see how he translates. But this is a guy who has played 3 years of football, has accumulated almost 2,000 total snaps. Really experienced player. Gave up only 4 pressures and 2 sacks this year. So I really love to see that as well. Throughout his career, he's given up only 4 sacks, 39 pressures, which a lot of those came within his first couple years at Louisiana Monroe. Then coming out to La Tech, I think he was very efficient. So this is going to be an interesting one to monitor, kind of swap out Carter Miller for Zarian McGill. Let's see what he does. I love the fact that he's coming here. I love the fact that we're developing and kind of getting back some of the depth that we've been needing at the interior line. Hank Solinskis off to Rutgers with his brother. Congratulations to him. Well wishes to Carter Miller. I mean, yeah, it seemed like he was coming here with Phil Loadholt, and then Phil Loadholt bounces. So going to be interesting to see who the new offensive line coach is. Seems like we're going after a little bit bigger of an offensive lineman at the center position, which is interesting. And let's talk about this guy right here from San Antonio, where I currently reside, Martavius French, 6'2", 225 pounds, tackling machine. I think I talked about him yesterday. 83 total tackles this past year for the Roadrunners. Really productive. Also had 4 sacks. I think graded out in coverage fine for a box linebacker, 59.3. Run defense, 68.9. And, from what I understand, I think him along with Reggie Hughes, they're going to give our linebackers a little bit more speed than what we had this past year with Nikhai Hill-Green and Levante Bentley. So really do love to see that we were able to secure Martavius French coming out here. I mean, this is a really good transfer portal get. I really do love it. So, hey, y'all put some respect on our king, Coach Hart, his name, grabbing this linebacker transfer, Martavius French. Didn't we beat out Miami for him? Hey, I love to see it. Now, hey, they went and grabbed Ethan O'Connor for us, so maybe it's tit for tat, right? Is that the expression? But also an experienced player, played 1,200 snaps over 3 years here at UTSA, and throughout his career has over, 160 total tackles, 6 sacks. Passer rating when targeted, okay. 102.8. You want to bring that down a little bit, but only gave up 217 yards in the passing game and no touchdowns given up. And he also had a pass breakup. But you look at Reggie Hughes, he's like 6'3", I believe, 230 something pounds. Martavius French, right around that same size. Hopefully we can still bring in another couple linebackers, but I think that right now, if you say, Dave, you got to bet on who is going to be the starters at linebacker, I'm going to say right now it's Martavius French and Reginald Hughes. So love to see that. Of course, I'll keep my eyes peeled with what's going on with the rest of our visits. I mean, y'all know that we had a handful of guys come in here. Hopefully, Zy Chrysler from Illinois. I think that he would be an instant starter on this team as well. Who else did we have visiting? Tavian Coleman, defensive lineman from Texas State. Percy Lewis, who was the left tackle last couple of years at Auburn. And wow, how about that? The Bears actually won. First win versus the Packers since 2018. How about that? Wow. What a way to end the season. Anyways, guys, and then we have William Boone, tackle from Prairie View A&M, as well as Brandon Snee. Is it Snee? Some of y'all said that I've been pronouncing his name incorrectly. If you're going to do that, please just also put in the pronunciation, because I've had trouble finding it. But tackle from Wagner. I don't really know how either of these tackles project as, a starting right tackle for us next year. But we also got the transfer Agumbayaye. I'm going to get it down, guys. Aki Ogunbaye coming over here from Texas A&M. He might be that starter for us at right tackle. It remains to be seen. But I think that this is a great direction that we're moving in right now. Let's go ahead and take up or pull up the 24/7 commitment thing here for Colorado, so we can see kind of everything we got. And how about Joe Milton? Playing really well today. Okay. So you can see now we're at 14 transfers. Martavius French, Zarian McGill. Oh, yeah, that's also we also got Kylan Salter coming in at the linebacker position. How could I forget? Younger brother of Caden Salter. I think from what I've seen some of y'all say in the Discords, the Twitterverse, all of that, he should provide solid special teams help immediately for us, which you guys know we definitely need. And hopefully he's ready to take that next step and, spelling at linebacker for some of these starters. Let's see what he can develop into. Tafik Bayard, I think he's going to be great. He's got the all-pro NFL DNA. Aki Ogunbaye. Yes, I did it that time. 6'4", 315 pounds. He can kind of play all over the line a little bit. So we'll have to see. But I love the fact that we got, two big bodies right here in McGill and Ogunbaye. And then didn't we bring in one more? No, I guess we're still waiting on some more transfers to see what happens. Chauncey Gooden right now. Hey, maybe he surprises and he gets on the field. But I love what we're doing up front. I think we're definitely helping ensure the trenches on both sides of the ball right now. Of course, we have some starters to replace on defense, but with Jaheim Otis, these linebackers, Gabriel Lightfoot coming over here, I feel like we're in a pretty decent shape. And we also got young guys, highly recruited, like Brandon Davis-Swain. I think that should be ready to contribute their redshirt freshman year, just like we saw this year. Taj McCoy impact the team in his redshirt freshman year. Look for Brandon Davis-Swain to make a similar type of jump this next season. So a little bit shorter of a live stream, guys. Obviously, I got the Broncos game coming up here. But smash that like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll say hi to a few of you guys. Landon, what's going on? Go Broncos. We got to make sure we get this. Okay, speculation on Instagram, says William Wiles, that Lee Grimes could be the new O-line coach. Okay, let's see who Lee Grimes is. Okay. Oh, we're poaching somebody from a Big 12 staff? I'm a fan of it. So, let me pull this up. Boom. Lee Grimes. So, assistant offensive line coach at Kansas. And you know, Kansas absolutely obliterated us this year with their offensive line. So, hey, I love it. I love it. Go get one of their coaches so they can teach us how to do that same thing. Okay. He's been on staff since 2020. Decorated former player and staff member from Texas A&M. Ooh, I'll excuse it. If you become a buff, I'll excuse your past with the Aggies. Spent the 2020 season at UNC Charlotte and brings more than 8 years of collegiate experience to Lawrence. He also played in the NFL in 2010, so that's great that he, can kind of serve as still that NFL buffs type of coaching staff we're trying to develop here. Arrives at Kansas, with 49ers, yada, yada, yada. Let's get to his playing experience. Here we go. So he went to Texas A&M. And then looks like, okay, so he must have played in the NFL one season. Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, San Diego Chargers, and then was done. So just a cup of coffee in the NFL and has mainly spent his time coaching offensive line in Lubbock, then East Texas Baptist, then Minnesota, then Texas A&M, then UNC Charlotte, and then he's been out at Kansas ever since. So, hey, that's great. Love to see somebody that's working his way up. And yeah, if this is going to be his first gig to be a full-time offensive line coach, kind of similar to Coach Loadholt, let's see how it all goes. But seems like he's been paying his dues. He's quite ready. And the only thing that I ask is, hey, if this is the dude, let's make sure he's signing a multi-year contract. Phil Loadholt bet on himself, but let's get some continuity in here with the offensive line coaches. It's just kind of how I feel about it. But if Lee Grimes is hired, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Especially with how Kansas's offensive line performed against us. And to be honest, I don't know what coaches are available. College is so different because guys leave schools all the time. Man, what a wild game between the Falcons and the Panthers today, too. Good to see Michael Penix playing really well. And Bryce Young tearing up this Falcons defense, man. All right. Stop sharing. We'll get to a few more of your comments. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Yeah, what's up, Kai Moore? Yeah, y'all smash that like. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are doing well. Yes. How about Emmanuel Pregnon? Whatever he wants. That's right. I mean, what do I got to do to get him on the team, right? I would love to have this guy on the team. Let me pull up his PFF because I don't think I've ever pulled it up. I don't think I pulled it up yesterday when you guys were bringing him up. Yeah, why don't you come home? All right, here we go. You're absolutely right, TK. We got to figure out a way to get this guy to Boulder. 6'5", 320 pounds. And, I mean, these are impressive grades. 73.3 in the pass, 68.8 in the run. Gave up no sacks for USC. Only 14 pressures, too. One penalty. Over at left guard, Yeah, I mean, we kinda how I'd like to see it done is see us have 4 new starters on the offensive line this year. If we can recruit over everybody that we had playing last year, I think that that's gonna give us really, really good offensive line play. Of course, it's like, how do you develop continuity if you're switching out 3, 4 starters every year? I feel like that's just the reality of college football now. Um, you just can't keep many lines together. Although I hope at some point we can be the exception to that because of some of the recruits that we have coming in here now. But wow, hasn't given up a sack since 2020. Didn't even give up a sack last year in 2023. Over almost 2,300 career snaps. Yeah, I imagine this guy's going to go to one of them blue bloods. But man, Rick George, Coach Prime, figure out a way to make it happen. I know we got to be choosy with who we're giving that bag to. Sounds like to me this should be a guy that you're making sure you're investing in, right? We're not the poor school down the see the Bucks celebrating. It's hilarious. We're not the poor nonprofit down the road as much as college football teams and colleges want to make it seem. But we're also not Oregon. We don't have a Phil Knight. We've still got ways to go with our collective growing, and hopefully we take another sizable step this year. But we got to figure out a way to make this thing happen. Shador, can you sell one of your cars? Maybe that, or just give him to Pregnon, whatever. Like you got an extra Maybach or whatever. We'll just have to see what happens. But man, I would love to bring him in, TK. That would be it would just be perfect. It would be perfect. There's no other way to describe it. Getting getting a guy like that on this team, man. All right. Yeah, Joe Kidd saying McGill from Miller's not a good swap. McGill wasn't a starter for La Tech. How Coming will come and start. We need more depth pieces. This is very true. Yeah, while he did start at Louisiana Monroe, well, this is like what's confusing about this, Joe Kidd. Now that I'm like thinking about this out loud, is that both Carter Miller and McGill started at Louisiana Monroe. Now, La Tech, McGill didn't start this past year. But while they were both at Louisiana and Monroe, both of them were starting there. So I don't really know if there's too much of a difference. I mean, if you're just taking it at face value, but also one was a starter this year, one was a rotator. Yeah, you're right about that. I think that the center competition, it's going to be real between him and Cash Cleveland, and who else we bring in. We'll have to see. Okay, so Williams saying that Seaton, Breck were on a live. He also follows a couple of the guys on the team. We're talking about, man, what's his name again? Lee Grimes. Rumored offensive line coach hire. Man, Pregnon and Seaton on the left side. Yeah, we might have it 1,000-yard rusher. How about that? These signings are a little overwhelming, or underwhelming. I don't know. I don't know if I'm underwhelmed. I don't know. That's just me, though. I can understand. Some of these guys, again, they've been long-term starters at the G5 level, like Martavius French. We're not grabbing some of those dudes that hop in the portal from Alabama. The guys that we were, and how could I forget this? We did get the top defensive line guy from Alabama, Jaheim Otis. We're just not able to get all the guys, but I can understand the sentiment. I think I'm still gonna wait to hold out on when this transfer portal period wraps up before I kind of give my grade, or I don't know. My feelings kind of change from day to day, but ultimately I feel like we're addressing the positions of need well. Zach Branch just committed to UGA. Jaden Rashada in the transfer portal again. I wonder where he's going. Yeah, we got to give Pregnon the bag. No doubt about it. Whatever it takes. Do we got to sacrifice Ralphie Six to get Pregnon on this team? I would do it every time. My issue with this whole portal thing with CU is if we're not going to recruit high school kids, let's at least get 10 or 15 top players in the portal. Or thank you, Chairman A, for the $5 super, by the way. Let me see what you mean here at the end. My issue with this whole portal thing with CU is that if we're not going to recruit high school kids, let's at least get 10 or 15 top players in the portal or who play, who start. I don't know what you mean by the end of it. But I feel like our portal strategy has been pretty consistent this whole time. And I feel like we weren't getting a guy like Jaheim Otis last year. We weren't. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out. But I think, what do we have? 13 guys come in here from high school. I think we'll bring in, still another double this amount that we have in the transfer portal right now and see where it all shakes out. But right now, CU, we're not in the position where we're spending Michigan, Oregon, Bama type money. There are some guys that we can bring in that are top of their position group, but we have to just be selective. And I feel like we've been that. Don't forget, we brought in somebody like Joseph Williams, who is great. Beat out Utah for him. Again, Jaheim Otis was like a top dog in the transfer portal. We brought him in. Caden Salter. He turned down some other really good programs that are much more accomplished than CU right now to come to CU. Thank you, Chairman. Saying, or what's the point of getting all G5 players or FCS players, bro? You saw what happened to Indiana with all them G5. First off, Chairman A, again, thank you so much. You can't start going down that hole of saying, look what happened to Indiana. Indiana made the college football playoff. We haven't won a bowl game now in 21 years. I will gladly take getting destroyed in the college football playoff right now. Now, I think if we make the college football playoff, let's say as early as next year, I don't see us getting destroyed. I don't think we're built like that. But all these other schools are doing the same things as well. They're bringing up experienced, proven players from the G5 ranks that are having success. I mean, even if you want to go back years to, when Florida State was good just a few years ago, that's what they were doing as well. Again, how is your team going to play when the moment matters the most? Who they get blown out by? I'm trying to remember. Was it Ohio State or Penn State? I'm trying to remember. But they also went up against one of those top teams that they're just on another level compared to everybody else in college football. We know that. But again, we just cannot be comparing ourselves right now to what's going to happen if we make the college football playoff like Indiana. There are other schools that are bringing up transfers from the G5 ranks as well. And honestly, I would prefer to continue to do that, bringing guys that have been in college programs for a while, that have been proven, that understand what it takes to work. I also feel like they're better fits for the culture, easier fits for the culture, if they understand what it takes to win at the college level, than betting on 30 high school guys and hoping that they all develop. So, yeah. Exactly. This is Colorado. Rome was not built overnight, y'all. Not built overnight. But we took a wonderful step in the right direction. And over this year, I think we're going to take another great step this next year. I mean, we now have two really good quarterbacks here, which is something that we haven't had in a very, 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 very long time. And now we got to solidify the trenches. I think once that's done, then maybe we go after some more running back stuff like that. But um, yeah, again, I think we've been very targeted with how we've spent money because we don't have a, a budget right now like Michigan or Oregon or Texas A&M. And the fact that we're beating out some of these schools for some of these guys, we're beating out Miami for some of these guys. It's good. It's a step in the right direction. But Chairman A, do not forget that Indiana has had a much more decorated college football history right now over the last 21 years than we have, minus Travis Hunter's Heisman. We haven't won a bowl game in 21 years now. If you give me Indiana's team right now, like that level of talent, I think we probably break that bowl streak. I think we should have won it anyways, but it is what it is. All right, guys, gonna watch this Broncos game. Hopefully, we can beat Carson Wentz. We'll see how it goes. Let's go, Buffs.